Welcome back, everybody. Anyway, today we have a ANSONIA clock to work on. I think the other one might be the same, I'm not sure, but this clock for the alarm is actually a music box. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I'm very happy to get both of them. But I'll just show you one for now, because I don't know how well I'm going to work on this. They are small. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe because it's free, and give me a thumbs up if you appreciate this video. Anyway, let me show you this little clock. So this is a clock and it measures 6 inches. And let's measure the base that's the widest. We're at just about 5 1/4, maybe 5 1/4. And this here's what, 3 3/4. Anyway, it has the glass on the one side, the door, and it's got a piece of metal there. I'm not sure if that used to be a key holder or what. Has the glass there. You can see the tarnish I have on here. And there's beveled glass here with the hands, and I do believe that's a second hand, but this clock isn't working. It does have a knob to lock the door shut. I guess that's where the key goes, so that explains that there. Here you have the 2 winding levers, and one of these will turn the alarm and the other one will turn the hands. There's the speed control for how fast your clock's going to run. And I'll go ahead and spin this around and get the music box, which is underneath here, to play. And they sound a little bit off, as in either they're too tight or something. The music box is trying to play. Let me and I don't know if it needs wound up or not, but it's vibrating quite a bit, so it definitely needs oiled. So I'm not sure how to get this thing out of here. But I think what we're going to do is take these 4 screws out to get to the bottom, and that might help me get, besides to the music box, might help me figure out how to get the movement out. Now, a long time ago, I watched some videos on this type of a clock. That's been quite a while ago, and it seems to me, because this is a metal base, there's wood in here that kind of wedges as you tighten these screws. I'm going to guess those 2 go to the music box. But I'm going to see if I can carefully pry this out of here now. Let's take these out too. Like I say, it's been a long while since I was able to see that video. And that was back before I was actually that deep into clocks. I just enjoyed watching people working on them. It's quite warped, which I'm not sure that's going to make any difference. So I think what we're going to do is take these 4 nuts off, get this to pull out, because I can see maybe more underneath. So let me get those out and I'll be right back. ship's anchor on the music there. Before we go any further, which I see a couple screws there, let's see if I can turn this on here and get to play. No, it's sitting down. Let's try it over here. You can hear this thing's really pushing on the teeth, and so I'll probably adjust it back. That was a beautiful tune. Now, when you come to the amount of teeth, I haven't counted them, but the more teeth you have in your music box, normally that's a higher value on your clock also. Just a special note. These here sitting on here kind of loose, they can be tightened up. I'm not worried about that right now. So by the looks of it, we have 2 screws here, and then I should be able to pull this movement out. So let me take those out and be right back. Got them out. Stand this thing back up and see if we can pull it out of here. It's a real tight box. So I totally understand. And there's no way to open the front to take the dial or anything else off. Our problem is we have that wheel here that comes through the plate and drops down here. And so it's making it kind of difficult. And if I wanted to, by the looks of it, I can go ahead and take this top off. In fact, I think actually that's what I'm going to do, because it needs totally clean too. It's absolutely filthy. So I think that's what I'll do, is I'll take these nuts off and raise this whole thing up so I can get that movement right out. So the nuts are kind of hard to get off the ends of these because they used dikes on them to cut them off. I'll probably round those off a little bit so it'll be easier to thread the nuts back on. So I'm going to hold this together. And now let's take it apart. And there, like I say, it's got glass in here and everything else. You see the filth in there or whatever. Like I said, I want to clean that up. I'll probably turn these so I can get that glass out maybe, so I can get that all cleaned up as best I can. Get this thing looking new again, if that's possible. So ages of dirt build up. And some of this you can't help, because when you clean it, that's another reason of when you spray it, your spray will go down and stay wet down below and in the sides, and that's why you always want to spray your rag and not the actual glass. Now, I have no idea. This could be silver. It might look silver when I'm done. So this one's holding on good. And the reason why is because the door has a spring in it, and I didn't release that part. It's right there. There we go. Really, really bad. There's a spring wire there, and this one I'm sure cuddles up in there too. And then we have to open this up because these, well, that might be okay. They have a nut on them, and they're not moving, I don't think. You can't tighten them, but we'll probably take this apart also, so like I say, I can clean this thing. It's got lots of old greasy dust on it. Almost looks like it's been sitting in the kitchen or on the old wood cook stove. So it's very hard to see. The maker on here, I don't know if I can get this enough that you can see, because I barely could see what it said down there. Let me see here. I'll spell it out to you. ANSONIA Ansonia Clock Company. Looks like it says sold manufacturers USA. And up above here is patented March 27th, 1877. These look like they're all press fit because I see nothing on here that I have to remove. So they must be press fitted on. Here's the movement. Now the fan, besides slowing down, it looks like it's got a screw which you'd adjust this screw by the looks of it to make that hit onto there harder or softer in order to adjust the speed, because maybe the fan doesn't do it all by itself. So that's interesting to see that. And looking at this movement, realistically, besides fingerprints and some dirt on the outside, it almost doesn't look that bad. It's not full of stuff that people might squirt in here to get their clocks working again. But you can see it's got the heavy-duty dirt on there. And that, like I say, I'd like to clean up. So let me see about pulling them hands off, all three of them, and we'll go from there. So on this cardboard dial, there's a hole there that had a nail. There's a hole here that has a nail and is brought in and bent around just to hold this into place. To get that second hand off, because it's so close, I had to reach in here with a screwdriver and wedge in between the gear that's on and up, and finally I was able to work it out. But first I had to put a drop of clock oil on that hand in order to start loosening it. The two hands on here, the minute and the hour, were wedged on there, and I had to use my hand puller to get those two out also. Now by the looks of it, to get this plate off, it looks like all you do is push these in a little bit and they're just kind of latched on there, we'll say. Oh, don't you be taking off on me. Just in case, let me see about straightening that nail, last nail that's in here, and get this to come out. You can see the metal plate on the back side that supports this. Now so far that isn't moving, so possibly what you have to do is straighten these out so that can come out so you can get to the front of the clock as well. So let me start messing with these and see what I can come up with. That one didn't do too bad. Looks like there's 3 of them. So before I get any further, I'm going to go ahead and take my pictures of the front and the back. And of course, I'm going to take it like this more than likely, because it might be easier to pull this thing apart, because I think I do want to take this apart and clean it quite well, because it is just age nasty in there. And by the looks of this, I'm only guessing for what I see. This here comes across and then it stops the fan. By the looks of it, possibly underneath this here hour shaft is a wedge that holds it down, or holds it down so it's hitting the fan. So I think I'm going to start out by taking these pins off. This one here goes to the music box. See if I can squeeze and push it out a little bit for myself. Otherwise it's going to be stuck in there, which is actually fine, I guess. I do need to get these springs caught up so they don't take off on me. Now these are spring loaded here, and right here is what pushes this gear up and down. I don't know if you can see that ramp look to it or not. So that must be how this gear moves up and down in order to move this. So that one might not come out that way. I'm going to have to move this one out instead, because that might be a permanent pin where this one isn't. Okay, before I go any further, let me get these, if I can get them, let me get these springs wrapped up. So as difficult as it was, I got this zip tie on, had to wheedle it around this gear here, and finally got it on. Now it's just kind of running down until it's tight on my zip tie. So now we took this out because we took the spring off, and so it was coming out. This is the key that came with both the clocks. I don't know if it matters which clock it is. This is the time side. As well as it's working, it'll probably work just fine if I oil it, but like I say, as dirty as this thing is, I'd actually like to clean it to have a clock to, let's say, show it off. Now that, I would think, should be ticking faster, and which this hasn't been oiled or nothing, that's just the way it came. So like I say, more than likely it just needs a good cleaning. And of course this here is your speed control. That's supposed to be as fast as it'll run. So while that's ticking, let me get the zip tie on to this one. So in these type of springs, I'll lift these springs off the clicker and up above, so when I back click it, it'll not latch anymore, and then I should be able to let it down more. I'll do it to both of these. And find a key, a let down tool, there's one. We got that one let down all the way. And that one's down all the way. So this screw doesn't need to come out. It's just coming out if it wants to, but that's the governor, we'll say, to the fan. This one here looks like it's been pressed on, and so it's going to probably tear up everything I got in here trying to get it in and out. What I could do is try my hand remover and see if I can hook up to that and press that out of there. In fact, I think that's what I'll do. Yep, came off. Sweet. So at the moment I can only get 3 legs on here. I guess I can put one over here now that the fans stop spinning. So before I forget, let's take the hour hand gear off, and this one should pop off. Just a little bit of corrosion that's sticking it on there. When I say corrosion, I don't mean rotting metal. I'm talking grease and old oil and dust and whatnot that might be in here. There we go. So everything's off on the front. This here could be unscrewed off to get to the fan, but I think I'll do that after I separate this. So let's carefully try to get this thing apart so it'll stay in one piece. Still a little power in the spring, that's normal. Don't like it, but hey, you can only do just so much. I didn't like that, but live and learn. So this is what the movement looks like. Let me get a picture of it before we start taking all these gears out of here. Okay, let's take this thing apart. This here is the time side. This one's still got some power in it. Mainly because the spring comes around clear over here, and as I take it out, let's just say it's not going to be happy. Okay, we can't take the fan out because it's screwed in. I probably should have taken it out. So this one won't come out because it has a press fit. Well, I'm going to call it a washer. There's a spring underneath there, and that's going to keep the hands from just spinning however they want. This nut might come off, and there's a chance I'm going to have to take it off because I can't get my springs out. Because everything's kind of bound up because of that. I can't even get this gear out. So let me work on that and see if I can get that off because it's kind of pressed on there also. Took the one out, taking this one out. and they have a wire to hold them in place. This is for the fan. Or the governor, however you want to call it. I'm taking them out so I can do a little bit better job cleaning, if it'll come out. So this gear's in there because I can't get that out, and I'm not desperate to get that out. I can still clean with the toothbrush and whatnot, but this is obviously going to go into the cleaner first and see what I can come up with on that. For the springs and whatnot, I had to wedge these out of there and got them out. Don't know how difficult it is going to get them back in. I might have to just set them in there and wind them up and get them to stay that way. This here doesn't necessarily need to be taken apart because I can still clean it the way it is. We're going to throw the key in there just to get it to clean up. And my other gears and all those small parts I'll put into a basket before I put it in my sonic cleaner. Or you can get these baskets, and if you don't have a sonic cleaner, so what? Excuse me, so what? Put them in here, and this way you don't lose your parts down the sink when you're rinsing them. And actually, I saw my hand go in there. I don't want the hands in there. They're not painted, but normally I paint my hands. But these don't look too bad so far. They got a little corrosion on them, and I'll clean those separate. And there's one more itty bitty one in here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. So off to the cleaner we go on that. On this one here, I'm going to take out that taper pin so I can get the spring out so I don't destroy it. And it loops around the speed control that's on the front. There's a little wire you can see back there. Yes, these are delicate, so you should be careful with them. And I'll also run that through the cleaner, but I'll be doing that separate where I can watch it and not damage it any more than I have to. If need be, we can put a new spring in there, but I just soon not. Took the one nut out, take another one out. So the handle will come off. And those should come off, they do. This plate should separate. And there's our, what I thought might be coming undone, but it's just inserted in there. These have the washers on them because they made it so these would move back and forth to adjust to the case size. I already took the glass out of these. Had to bend that up a little bit, and then I turned it, and I had to hold on to where the rivet is and the side to get it to turn. And now I can clean these. Hopefully we'll get this clock looking brand new again, or close to it. Like I say, you can see the old oil, and that looks like a kitchen oil to me, from frying, cooking, whatever. I almost want to say that's going to be silver plated. If it's pure silver, it doesn't weigh much, but that'd be valuable. So during the cleaning of my parts, I found this gear, and that's not metal. That's that fiber type of gear that's very delicate. Yes, I ran it through the cleaner. That's not the best thing in the world. I have to get this thing dried up. And according to my friend Time for Clocks, that type of a gear needs to be oiled with clock oil to preserve it. So I'm lucky it didn't fall apart. Like I say, I need to get that thing dried off and then get the oil on it, and hopefully I didn't hurt that gear any. So I have all my parts clean, or as clean as I'm going to get them. Now I'm going to work on these. These here are a light spring. You can tell by how thin they are, and so it shouldn't be a problem, or that much of a problem, to pop these off and let them open up. So now I can take this and clean these also. And let's see, you back these off. Is that back enough? No. Anyway, you're going to back these off to get these off. Sometimes you can cheat and get a screwdriver in there and pop them off. Maybe. Here we go. And you can see the dirt on there. That's another reason why you gotta get these taken apart if you can. So clean this. I'm gonna clean these springs because they're absolutely filthy. I run them through the clock movement cleaner and do my normal with them. It was so dirty, but for this being pure silver, yeah, I don't think so. Better luck next time, right? So I've used this, which is it's a polish, and I use this, which is a wax with the polish in it, to try to clean these up. And I haven't spent a lot of time besides getting the grease off of this. Didn't care too much about the bottom, but I did scrub it a little bit and did put a quick wax on it. But otherwise, everything's actually turning out halfway decent. So now that I've ran these through the movement cleaner, now I need to clean these up with some WD-40. Get the WD-40 off with denatured alcohol and oil on these in order for them to be ready to put into the movement, so I can put together, because I do believe I need to get these in the movement first and actually need to get them kind of wound up and back onto the zip ties, so that way everything's going to fit again. And I need to get them in before I get all the gears in, because they're going to all fall out and the spring's going to want to hit those anyway. So, and on these movements, running a toothpick through each one of these pivots in order to clean out with this. I got as clean as I could. I put it in the movement cleaner too, but I watched it because I don't want my spring to get tore up. So this is being proven to be difficult to get those springs wound back in there, and the main reason why is because they have such a long area here that doesn't wrap with the spring. This one's not as bad, but still they're difficult. And now I have to try to get this apart, leave those in place, and I know they're going to move to a certain point, but I need to try to get my gears in there and then recapture it back here. Now the reason I'm going to do this off camera is because this is new to me. It's not a cuckoo clock, so it's a lot more difficult. So let's see if I can get her done. So this was heck to get back in, let me tell you what, because of those springs and trying to get these gears in, whatnot. I finally ended up knocking out all these gears here that goes to the time side. I got, this is a difficult one, the winder, to get into that slot there because it has such a long throw on the spring. Once I got it in, got this nut on, and I got this nut on, but just barely. I was able to keep that in, and then finally wiggled these gears into place. Now I was noticing that my spring, and you can kind of see it's a little bit off. Well, I got too tight already. Right there. That's how you can adjust it. So anyway, getting this back in, it has to be kind of centered. As you can see right there, it's in the fork or whatever. And it goes out, but that's about where you need to have it setting in order to work, so far anyway. And I did oil inside on each end of this wheel balancer, whatever they call it, in order to already have it oiled, I guess we'll say. Anyway, I got it all back in, and I'm not releasing the springs yet because I still have a couple more gears and whatnot that I need to put in, and I just need to make sure that I'm doing it right and don't have to fight those springs again. So the best I can figure, the reason why the minute hand and the hour hand just push on there. They are not square hold on the minute or anything else, and that includes the second hand. I think what it is this is easy to set the alarm because you turn your dial from the back side until the alarm goes off. Then you can push your hand for, let's say, 12 o'clock on here, and set your hour hand and your minute hand for 12 o'clock, and that should get you your timing right instead of having to mess with the gears inside. None of these gears had the warning pin or anything else. It's this drop right here that tells the clock when the alarm's supposed to go off, just like a kitchen clock or parlor clock, whichever you want to call it. It'd be a dial, and that's what this here is the dial for the alarm to go off. There's nothing to stop the alarm from going off except not winding it too much. And I would say that this clock here is a clock that's made for the richer family, I guess we'll say. I mean, a kitchen clock is a very nice but big clock, where this one you can set up, probably set on top of the old wood cook stove up on the shelf, and time your dinner, bread, whatever it is you're cooking or baking. So this here, like I say, this is the kitchen clock as far as I'm concerned, or kitchen timer, just like the parlor and kitchen clocks. So now my next deal is I pretty much have everything on here except the hands, of course. So now I'm going to wind these up in order to loosen these up so I can take them off safely. And now that the whole clock's together, I can wind them up without worrying about trying to hold on to the gear. So let me get those wound up and take those off. For the side that operates the music box, I'm going to have to wind it with the let down tool, because this gear here is what goes to the music box, and so there's nothing stopping this from going. Although I could turn this, and by turning this here, and now it shouldn't go off because it's up on the ramp, and this is held by that lever. As you see, that lever's holding this. This is loose now, so I can go ahead and take it off. So on the bottom, I need these to point down. This one is not, so I had to loosen the nut, and then I'll turn this shaft, and then I'll make sure this lower nut down here is also tight, so it'll hold this thing straight. And now I'm going to install it on here with the screws coming up into the framework right here. So this way I can test the clock and see if it ticks or whatever. Oh, and I need to oil all this clock, so didn't want to forget that. So now we know we have it running and whatnot. I'm going to go ahead and put all the glass and box back on here, and then, well, actually I need to get the front face on so we can get the hands on so we know where we're at here. We got the front panel back on that supports this. I don't know what this is. Feels like plastic. And then the cardboard face on there. So the way I set this, I turned the alarm until it went off, and then I went ahead and put the hour hand and the minute hand on the 12, and then I set the pointer for the alarm on the 12, and now it should be right each time someone wants to bake for an hour or whatever they want to do. This should be good. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the framework back on here. Oh, and I didn't, because I didn't know for sure. I mean, not right away. This lever knob right here, that there pushes in on this, which will stop this or slow it down actually. If I back it off, it takes off again. And the reason why it's taking off right now is because the alarm's set and will run clear down before it moves far enough that it would re-catch again. Also, when I put this movement on, right here there's no indentation. That's telling you that this is where the door was, compared to this is in, and this is in. That tells you where the glass is supposed to be. Well, the sun is out, but I will admit it's going down. Anyway, we got this clock fixed. It's amazing on the tune it has for the alarm on this clock. And this clock did prove a little bit difficult, but I got it done. Anyway, until next time, don't forget to subscribe because it's free. And let's see that next clock maybe, and see whether we can get that one fixed. And God bless.